Okay, so here we go. This is our week 5, lesson 3. This is the last thing we're going to go over for this week. Again, this week has just been heavily relied on this idea of standard deviations. Again, that symbol that we use for standard deviations, we always represent it with lowercase sigma there. So again, whenever you see that sign, we're talking about standard deviations. Now, again, what standard deviations do, if you remember back from lesson 1, is they give us more of an in-depth look at certain statistics, right? It tells us how far apart our data is, specifically on average, how far away each piece of data. I'm just going to say each piece is from the mean. Right, that's stayed true for all 3 of these lessons, and we're continuing with it. Now, the only thing we're doing here is now I've changed up the example. I'm going through another example with you guys so you can see it, but I just really want to focus on you guys being able to find the standard deviation. Again, what we do is we're going to use this table here, and I recommend you set up that table, and we can find out the standard deviation or how spread out this data is. So again, we're finding the standard deviation, and in this case, I went online and I looked up the prices for apartments that are in Clovis and Fresno, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, or studio apartments. They range from like $800 up to like $1,000 for some manageable things. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys how we can figure out how spread out those pieces of data are in relations to each other. And this is for just like the top 8 or 9 that I saw in Fresno. Again, the first thing that you can do here is we could just jump into filling in the table. Again, each of these pieces here is going to go in for that column of X. So I'm going to start by doing that. We're just going to go 800, 950, 825, 35, 875, 1,000, 930, and 975. The next thing that we need to do is we need to find mu, right? This right here. Again, what mu is the average or the mean. Again, to find the average, we add up all those numbers, divide it by however many numbers there are. So let me pull out the calculator and do this problem with you guys. We're going to go 800 plus 950 plus 825, 935, 875, 1,000. We're adding all of these, 930 and 975. We should end up with something like 7290. So I'm going to come down here. We'll keep it all in the same color. We'll say that the average or the mean, I'm going to say that's mu, is equal to 7,290 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of data. So we divide that by 8, and we end up getting $911.25. Now, to make our lives a little bit easier here, let's just keep it with our whole number. I know it's $911.25, but let's just use $911. Just to make our lives easier, I don't need this to be extremely exact right now. So our average, the average cost of an apartment in this area is $911. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to fill in 911 here. Now, you can write it over and over, or you can just kind of draw an arrow down. That's your call. All right, the next thing that we do is we're going to take each piece of data and figure out how far away from the mean it is. So that's when we subtract each thing from the mean. So we're going to go I'm just going to go through and do all of our X values first. So we're 800, 950, 825. Again, if you guys have a shorter way of doing something, feel free to do it. I'm just writing in every single step because this is the only example we're going through here. And we subtract the mean from all of those. So minus 911. Whoa. Minus 911. Both of those are good. Minus 911. Minus 911. Just keep subtracting there. Okay. After that, we get the distance each of these pieces of data is from the mean. So let's put that over here. Again, take out your calculator. You're going to want to use it so you don't make any mistakes. We're going to 800 minus 911, negative 111. 950 minus 911, and I'm here doing it with you guys just so you know how much time it takes if you're going through and using your calculator. Minus 911, negative 86, 935 minus 911. Yes, I know I can do some of these in my head, but I'm choosing not to so I can be as accurate as possible so I don't make any stupid Everly mistakes here. 89 minus is 19, and 970 minus 911 is 59. Right, so we've subtracted each piece of data from the mean. Now the next thing that we need to do is we're going to square each of those results. So we take all of them, negative 111, we're going to square it. 39, square it. Negative 86, square it. Again, once you guys see the process, it doesn't really matter what the numbers are. We're going to be doing the same thing each time. And I chose this example because, yeah, the numbers are going to get kind of big, but we can deal with that. And sometimes you have to deal with bigger numbers because looking at an apartment, they're not going to cost $10, right? They're hundreds or $900, $1,000. So that's why we're looking at this. Now we're at the part where we're going to go through and square each of them. So you're just going to go 111 to the second power is 12321. 39 squared, 1521. 86 squared. Again, I know some of these are going to get pretty big, but that's okay. We have our calculators to help us out here, and I'm using a phone calculator, so if you're using a phone, just use your phone calculator as you go through and do this work as well. 1296, 89 squared, 7921, 19 squared is 361, and then 59 squared is 3,481. Okay. So what we've done is now we've squared each of our results, making it so we're only dealing with positives. Now, if you remember, the last couple steps we need to take here to find the standard deviation is we're going to take all of these results here in green in this case, and we're just going to find the average of all of those numbers. So we're going to add all of those up and then divide by however many numbers there are. So yes, we're going to have to go through and do all of this addition here. So that's 12321 plus 1521 plus 7396 plus 576 plus 1296, 7921, 361, 3481. So all of them added up. Here, let me just say what we're doing over here. I'm going to say find average. So we added them all up. We got 34,873 divided by, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers again, divided by 8. And we should get something like 4,000. Let me try it again just to make sure I'm right here. Yep. We're going to go 4,359.125. Now, if you remember, we're not done there. That's not our standard deviation because we have to go back and we have to undo this squared right here. The very last step is you take that result, that average, and you do the square root. So I'm not touching anything in my calculator. I'm leaving it as 4,359.125, and I'm just going to hit the square root button. That gives us 66. I'll put approximately 66, and we'll go 0.02 because we're talking about money here. That's our standard deviation, $66.02 approximately. So again, what that means is each of these values up here are about $66 away from the average. 800 on average is about 66 away. It's not exact because it's an average. 825 is roughly 66 away. So it's just saying on average all of these are about $66 away from the average, which is $911, meaning they're pretty comparable in price, where let's say our standard deviation, instead of it being 66, our standard deviation ended up being like $215. That means from that $911, our average price, these apartments could be priced anywhere between $700, say subtract 200, or $1,100, right? So it's a much bigger gap there. So again, standard deviation is telling you how spread apart your data is, which really tells you a lot, right? It tells you how accurate your mean really is. That's the last thing we're going to be looking at here for standard deviations for week 5. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out and let me know.